broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight. For the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets regular, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave for the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Welcome to Homeland Hero Salute Podcast with your hosts Doug Macedo and Tim Chambers.
Welcome everybody. Welcome to another episode. I'm your host Doug, and tonight we've got a special guest with us. But our co-host Tim Chambers is actually taking the night off tonight, relaxing and spending the time with his lovely wife, Lorraine. So we're gonna give you a salute, Lorraine. Enjoy your evening with him. Spend some time with him. But we do have a special guest with us tonight. We have U.S. Army retired Staff Sergeant Tyrone with us, and also upcoming, soon-to-be published author. Welcome. Thank you for coming on to this evening.
Hey, how you doing?
Man, living the life of a rock star. It's how us retired soldiers are, just living the life of a rock star, making it one day at a time.
Yeah, that's what people want to believe, right?
Absolutely. I mean, that's what they all think. We all get. That's why we get paid the big bucks. I'm like, big bucks. I don't know if I've ever made big bucks in the service. If you really count the hours and look at how much I actually made less than what a server makes per hour. But hey, whatever you want to think there. Whatever you want to think. So, I know we were just talking and going through some of the stuff, about, a book that you have that is going to be hopefully here soon published. But I wanted to, go back a little bit to the early days of you being young and joining the service, and, give us a little background about you, man.
Right. Well, I joined the service. I did the delay entry program, which was around 17 years old.
Yeah.
Then I joined in 18. I did my basic at Fort Benning, Georgia. Then I did my AIT at Fort Rucker, Alabama. As soon as I graduated Fort Rucker, Alabama, I went straight to my unit. I didn't go straight to my unit because I actually did hometown recruiting. Then I went to my unit and then deployed within like a week, I think, maybe a week, 2 weeks after I got there to Iraq for the first time. Was deployed from 2003 to 2004, 2005 to 2006, 2009 to 2010, and then 2012 to 2013, I believe it was, if I'm not mistaken. So twice in Iraq and twice to Afghanistan.
Wow.
And I got wounded in Afghanistan, had to get medically retired, and then now I'm here.
Wow. Well, definitely want to say thank you for your service, and we appreciate it. As we both know, it's like, we sign up on that dotted line to the country, as a blank check that's, up and including our lives,
Right.
For this country, and we want to say thank you.
Yeah, we all like to hear that every now and then, because sometimes it do be hurting.
Absolutely, and it's fair enough. It's you know, a lot of us go through a lot of stuff, and it's sometimes, you know, we get down, you know, we kind of get down on ourselves sometimes about certain things, and it's like
Mm-hmm.
that, you know, thank you for your service as
Yep.
a pick me upper, you know, and it's very nice to be able to have that. So, you know, so it's always, I always tell everybody when we get the guests on, I'm always like, hey, you know what? Thank you for your service. And, you know, we appreciate you, what you have done, and, you know, and what you continue doing. A lot of us know that we continue our service outside of, you know, being in the military.
Yeah.
Um, you know, so we keep doing our part, you know. So now since you've been out, what did you, so 2013, so you what, got medically discharged, I would say 2014?
Uh, I was out. Shoot, I just looked at it the other day, man. I can't even remember. It was May 31st of something when I got finally discharged. It was either it had to either be the 14th or the 15th.
Yeah. Well, still, I mean,
I
that's,
just, I'm just, and I just looked at my DD 214 just the other day too,
uh,
because I had to remember I had to get my retirement date
yeah,
because of the what was it uh, permission to go to all the parks for a certain amount of fee, like the park fees, the annual park fees. I needed it
yeah.
for that. So, but I can't remember what the exact dates was now.
Hey, you know what? It's you know, the state parks and the federal parks, we're actually supposed to be getting in for free now. There
Yeah.
should be it's should be a no fee. So no, I just did that. Like I think 3 years ago, I finally did that, and my mother-in-law was like, "Oh, it's all gonna be like $10 for a carload," and I'm like, "Nope, it's free." And here you go. And they were like, "Yep, you're good. See you later."
Yeah, yeah.
You know?
I just did my I didn't know that it was free until
Yep.
I started realizing how much money it was going to cost me to go to each one of these places because I just added a local history section to my website.
Yeah.
And you know, I wanted to put videos and all this stuff on there, and I was like, man, I'm gonna go to. I have like a map full of all kinds of places I'm going to visit,
Yeah.
so I'm definitely going to go ahead and get one for free.
Yeah. Yeah. I just went. I took my kids up to well, down to DC, and we were going to do a bunch of stuff, and um, ended up meeting one of the Secret Service guys, and he was like, "Hey, bring your kid over here real quick," and I brought him over there, told him, you know, told him thank you for his service and stuff like that, and then you know, told him about my time in, and he says, "Hold on 1 second, I'll be right back." Brings my son over a little small metal badge of U.S. Secret Service,
Oh wow,
and I'm like,
that's
"Oh,"
pretty cool.
I was like, "That's amazing. I appreciate it." And my son was like, all like happy as can be, and like wore it as we're scooting around with electric scooter down around DC.
I bet you that
um,
made his day.
oh man, it did. He wanted. I think he slept with that thing too. But yeah, I mean, it's great that you know, a lot of vets don't know about that, about the whole thing with parks and stuff, and knowing that you can get into them for free, um, and be able to enjoy them, because man, again, it's something that getting out with Mother Nature is
Yep.
it's nice to be able to get out and, you know, explore the stuff, and you know what you're doing and putting it onto your page and stuff. That's awesome. You know.
Yeah, I love it, man. It's a passion of mine. That's why I was telling you earlier. I got to build a computer because a lot of the stuff that I want to do is easy now. It's basic now. You know, I'm
Yeah.
doing very interviews, and I don't really need a fast computer for all that stuff.
Yeah.
But I'm going to be doing a documentary now that my book is published. All these places that I visit, I'm probably going to start like a 30-minute documentary or an hour documentary of these places and talking about them and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Um, there's so much stuff that I want to be able to do that it's just how do you go about doing it, right? And
Yeah.
in reality, you just got to go out there and do it. I started my website 4.5 years ago, and I started with one article. I actually bought my own website domain, rebirthoftheword.com. Did one article, and I didn't know how to write articles. I'm not a public. I was just about to say I'm not a I wasn't a published author, but I am now, right? But
Yeah.
I wasn't a writer back then,
Yeah.
and but I used what technology gave me, and that was Grammarly. Grammarly is a good program where you can say whatever you want to say in how in your words, and you can ask it, or it would rephrase it for educated audience or a better audience, right?
Yeah.
So that kind of helped me. And then when I did my YouTube channel, I didn't know how to do videos. I mean, I watched thousands and thousands of documentaries, but all they were basically was just somebody talking, and then they go to another screen, and
Yeah.
somebody talking, and they go to a different screen, and somebody talking, and they go back to the first screen, and then somebody talking, and they go back to the second. And they use the same pictures over and over and over again in the documentaries and stuff. And it's just like, man, when are you going to do something different? Like, I
Yeah.
went to so many different places, and I've taken at least 70 to 100 different types of pictures.
Yeah.
You can definitely make a good documentary out of that. So I'm going to try to make my own documentary of every place that I visited. Um, uh, try to make green screen.
Yeah.
Um, there's a lot of things that I do want to do,
Yeah.
but to me, it's just fun. Once it becomes a part where you want monetary gains for this, that's when it stops being fun, and you're starting to chase the dollar. And I
Yeah.
don't want to chase the dollar. I just want to keep doing what I do. Like, I do these interviews. I have my own discussions. I go on live and have my own discussions. Whenever I feel like it, I have my little rants when I'm ready to have my rants about whatever somebody shared that was incorrect in history.
Yeah.
I have a whole plethora of different books. Every book that I have tabs on them, like this one right here,
Yeah.
right? And I just go in there and I just read from what I learned from the books and stuff. So yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean it's absolutely. You're totally correct on it. It's like when you're trying to create content and you're chasing the dollar, you're not really having fun anymore. I mean, because you're really just chasing the dollar to get paid for it. You have people like you and I. It's like we're not doing that. We're actually just trying to get the word out and get the stuff that's out there that's very exciting to see, like
Yeah.
U.S. parks and stuff like that, and be able to share that with people because a lot of people may never go and see certain parks or um, U.S. parks or even hiking trails. Um, they'll go and spend the whole time wherever they're at, and never leave that town or even that state.
Yeah.
Um, you know, and I know I've traveled and I've seen a lot of places, and a lot of U.S. parks. Even what was it in South Dakota? I've gone to a place called Deadwood, out towards Sturgis, and it's like a old like off of like an old Western movie with a bunch of like um, how do you explain it? Like an old Western like style bars and saloon on each side. Um, but they also had casinos that were inside of it, like little casino games and stuff. Been to Mount Rushmore. How many people have been to around, Mount Rushmore? Probably millions of
Hmm.
people,
Yeah, that's where I want to go too.
but, the same token, there's probably 20 or 30 million that probably have not been there and have not seen it. And the only way they're going to probably see it is off of the contents that, you or I provide or someone else provides, and it's just
Hmm.
having that fun and having that adventure of it. Um, you know, And as you were saying too, is like you have the website that is where you provide this content and stuff, and you know you purchase the domain, which is www.rebirthoftheword.com. Um, and so it's like it provides that, and then you also have your YouTube channel. Um, and what was that? And what's the name of the YouTube channel again?
Same thing, Rebirth of the Word. Everything, if you see Rebirth of the Word and you see the green little logo with the eye in the middle, that's definitely me. Plus, you'll always see my face because I'm always,
Yeah.
you'll definitely, even on Spotify, I do videos.
Yeah, I mean, so yeah, so I mean, if that's going to be all posted down below, everybody. So if you see it, it's going to be posted right below, be pinned, both with the YouTube channel and the website. So I mean, definitely go and check it out. So what I also want to get into and what we were talking about is regarding the book that is being published, which you just sent it out, and you said it should be like within a couple days or so that you should hear back with that. You know, do you want to give the viewers some kind of at least a narrative of the book? So I mean, so we don't ruin the whole book, so that you have to go and read it.
Well, yeah, of course. Like I said earlier, if you're interested in the Big Bang Theory, and you want to know who came up with the term and where the first theory arrived from, and the person who refuted the information, I talk about that because, like I said, most people will use the Big Bang Theory for their narrative, but don't know where it came from or even have read theory itself.
Yeah.
The first civilizations. I talk about why certain individuals are considered the civilization, from Egypt to the Sumerians, because some people would say it's because of the writing system. Some people would say pictographic script, but pictographic script is a writing system. I talk about the Sumerian gods, the Anuna/the Anunnaki. Most people know the ancient alien version, the space aliens version, but don't know the actual what the cuneiform tablets say. So I give them the cuneiform tablets and what they say, and where the actual sources talk about it. Let's see. I talk about the soul. Of course, I wrote some articles on there about the soul. I put a lot of my articles that I had on my website into my book because there's going to be a day when my website will no longer cease to exist. I'll pass on. It would take somebody to have to go in there and pay for it for every 3 years and so on and so forth. Or I would have to hire a lawyer to have somebody pay for it, but it can always somehow not ever exist, even by mistake, right? Even by mistake, right?
Yeah.
So that's why I took a lot of my stuff to put it in my book also. A lot of stuff that's on my website, rebirthoftheword.com, is stuff that I talk about in detail in my book. Like maybe the article is maybe like 5 minutes long, and it's not really about one thing. It's about a lot of things, but the chapter has more information on it and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest with you, the book is not for me to sell to people, buy my book. If you want to learn something, buy my book. You know, like I said, this was an opportunity. I'm going to promote it because it is my book, and I am going to try to get as many sales and views and all that I can about it. But at the end of the day, I didn't do any of that for that. It was just, I can say, and it took me just this year just to think about it, because I sent it to publishers in December.
Yeah.
It's not even February yet, and they're already about to put it out there on the market. But it's just, this is the first thing that I can say I've actually went out and accomplished since I've been retired. Most people, when they retire, like you say, you do community work and you're helping veterans and stuff like that. Some veterans are still trying to find themselves. Hell, you and I are probably still trying to find each other ourselves, even though we, did doing our thing. But it was something that I can say, okay, Well, I was given an opportunity. I knew what I needed to do and or what I wanted to do, and this was an opportunity that was easy to do and accomplish. So I was like, why not? And I did it. Now I can say, okay, well, since I've retired, I wrote a book. You know,
Yeah.
and it's not really often that you will hear somebody that you can go around and say, hey, what do you do? Well, I'm an author. Oh, you write blogs? No, I actually write books.
Yeah.
You know, or I could say both now. You know, I say, yeah, I have my own blog and YouTube, but I also have a book also.
Yeah.
You know, and it's amazing because I have a way of promoting myself. I have index cards that I made. When I go pump my gas, I leave an index card at the gas station at the pump, right? So somebody has to see it.
Yeah.
I've been known to go to stores where I would slip my index card in the merchandise. Like if you have something where you can slip the card in, like say like you have one of those little things that you can open folds
Yeah.
you know what I'm trying to say, like
Yeah,
a little
yeah.
flap or something in there. I put it in there so when somebody opened up the flap, they're like, oh, what's this? And they're like, oh, okay. Like I promote myself by any means that I can. If I'm when I was down there at Universal's last month or earlier this month, I should say, I had about 10 index cards, and as I was walking through the parking lot to go from one place to the other to get to the parks, I was just slipping my index cards in people's windows. I know a lot of people might not read it, but it only takes one person to notice that and say, "Hey, I like what you say. You know, I'm a director at, you know, this, that, and the third.
Yeah.
We need some help. You know, you got to go out there and pretty much just promote who you are, and that's
Yeah.
what I am. This Rebirth of the Word is a brand. You know,
Yeah.
I created the logo myself.
Yep.
My daughter's favorite color was green at the time, so I was like, this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna make it green, and green is actually the color of rebirth. So all that stuff played the part of where I came at to be right now.
Yeah. No, I mean, and that's you know, you did hit it as, yeah, we're trying to still find ourselves, and yeah, absolutely, I'm still trying to find myself and understand myself since I've been out. I've been out since 2016. I'm always trying to still find myself and my purpose,
Yeah.
because
Right.
it takes time. You know, it's you know, you were deployed. I think you said what, 4 times.
Yep. 4 times.
I was deployed 3. You know, and it's like, you know, once I got home, it was like a different change. Everybody knew that I was a different individual than what I was when I, you know, my first deployment. Then my second deployment, a little more, you know, might have changed, but I kind of lightened myself up a little bit, but I was still different. And people would always look at you and say, definitely, I can see a difference in you. You're not the old, you know, so-and-so. And that's where I'm trying to find myself where I was before, but still keep the same person I am. I'm not trying to be someone who I'm not. You know, as I tell, you know, a lot of the guests, it's like I keep it real, and I keep it 1,000. Because I don't want to be real dumb. I don't want to be someone who I'm not. I want to be who I am, but you know, I have a lot of I've learned a lot in my time, and shoot, I'm only 40 years old. You know, I'm still young, as my grandfather would say. If my grandfather was here, God rest his soul, he would say, "You're still wet behind the ears. You're still, you know,
Yeah. 40 is still young, man.
yeah, you
Yeah,
know,
I'm 41, man, and you know, I tell myself all the time, man, I hope I live to at least another 20, 30 years. Just imagine with the passion that I have now,
yeah,
the drive that I have now, what can I accomplish in the next 20, 30 years? You know, because 70 is not that old, man.
No.
70, I mean, you may be hurting and this, that, and the third, but you're still
yeah,
moving. My pops is 64 right now. He had a stroke, unfortunately. He hasn't been able to really enjoy his life after that, like he wants to. I know because he was always active. He was always doing something.
Yeah.
So just to think, to be able to say, like, if I have this opportunity to go at least, because like I said, my pops was 64. If I can go up to 64 doing what I'm doing now, I just can imagine. And then I
Yeah.
see people in their 50s and 60s. I'm just, especially going through what I've went through. I'm just like, man, I hope I make it, because, like I said, this brand that I'm building is not something that I just want to fade away. And that's one
Yeah.
of the main reasons why, given that opportunity to write a book, I have it, because now I'll have an ISBN.
Yeah.
99.9% of the time when you have an ISBN, that book is always going to be out there. You're
Yeah.
going to be able to find it somewhere. Somebody's going to have it on record somewhere.
Yeah.
So,
No, absolutely. And it's, I've, as we were talking before, it's like I know a few different people that have written books, everything from, children books up to, adult books that are World War II books. For instance, the one that worked, the two books I have on my desk right now, which is called The Rifle and The Rifle 2, was Andy Bigelow, good friend of mine. Runs another organization called They Fought, We Ride. He's he is Vietnam. He's a Marine Corps veteran, and then and he's written these two books, and so he's written those two books. I think he has another one coming out, and then another friend of mine, Tim Chambers, he's called the Saluting Marine. He's been doing it for like 25 years or so, saluting down at the Rolling Thunder ride down in D.C. He wrote a children's book, which my son has one of the books, and he's another author. And it talks about the flag and the saluting the flag, and why the guy salutes, why does the military people salute the flag, what the meaning is behind it, and then at the end of it, it's like, the child's like, I want to be like you, be like him, and I want to be like you, father, and salute the flag. So it's nice to know that they have written the books. Nice that you're writing the books regarding where the whole Big Bang came from, and how that became, and stuff like that. It's very interesting, because again, where did it come from? I always hear it's because of this, and it was because of the religion, and it was because of this. It's like, okay, everybody has their view on it, and it could be due to religion, or it could be due to this, or their belief, or their understanding of this. But where does it really come from, and how do we really find out and make it? And I know, as we were talking at the beginning, it's like, it's not like a where I'm right, you're wrong, kind of deal. It's like, this is what I found out, this is where it's led me, because that's what everybody was always telling you. It's like, go look and find out, and research it. And you did your research on it, and that's great.
Try to, at least.
Hey, I mean, it's you went down, as some people say it. Well, I mean, that would be a bad way to say it. I was gonna say rabbit hole, but really not a rabbit hole. It's a scavenger hunt, and you followed the facts of what you found. And I just gotta say, once the book comes out, I'm definitely gonna have to download it and read into it, because I mean, again, it's it's everybody who has a view and a way of they are explaining it, It's like a lawyer in a courtroom.
Yeah.
Here's the law. One
The
person
truth
will
is
interpret
overrated.
the law this way, and another person will interpret the law this way.
Yeah.
It's where it's you just interpret it one way or the other. It's the
I
way
don't know how true their meeting is, but the truth, what they say, the truth is overrated.
yeah.
I've heard that so many times.
And they always say, well, the truth will set you free. Well,
Or that too,
yeah.
yeah.
Let me find out if that's going to even be true, because before we get into that, it's like sometimes the truth may not even set you free, because it's not what you believe, it's what you can prove.
Yep.
And if
That's
someone
true,
can
too.
prove that you did something that you didn't do, then it kind of leads you it's going to lead you down a bad road, and maybe not the outcome you wanted. So
Yep.
sometimes the truth may not even set you free. May set your spirit free, but it won't set you free, unfortunately, and it's sad sometimes to that way that it goes down. But so I mean, so your book will be releasing, hopefully soon, in the coming days. Are you gonna start looking at probably trying to do um, I would say, I mean, because I know it's your first book, but everybody wants to say, well, I'm gonna go do a book signing everywhere and make a lot of money off of it. But reality is, how many times does people really go and buy books, the hardcover books nowadays?
Yeah, I'm definitely, well, what I plan on doing is because I do have to buy 20 copies myself. I guess that's what every author has to do, is buy their certain amount of copies. But what I plan
Yeah.
on doing is taking those copies and setting up uh, different places and saying, basically getting a sign saying support your local veteran author,
Yeah.
right? Veteran local author, and have like a little spot where I can set up a little table with a cloth and a couple of books, and then just sign some books, and of course sell them more than what you would on Amazon, because you're buying the book actually from the author and you're getting a signature on top of that, so you get to personally meet the author. So
Yeah.
that should be a value too, right? So of course I'm going to do that, and I don't expect too many people to really jump on that, but the people that do, it will help out with a lot of things.
Yeah.
Um, you know, I learned something a long time ago. In order to get your name out there, you have to be louder than your competition, and we are all in competition. Even podcasters that want to work and collaborate with each other, they're still at competition, because at the end of the day, they feel like their information is more important at that time than somebody else's, and that's the reason why they say the stuff we say, the stuff that we say, right? Like,
Yeah.
if anything, if it was the other way around, we wouldn't even give our opinions. We would always say what the next person was saying, right?
Yeah.
And so and we all have our own reasons why we want to do things too, right? For me, it's just, I just love sharing what I like to share. I don't care about nothing else. If I'm wrong, you're just going to have to tell me what book that says I'm wrong, and I'm going to read that book, right? But
Yeah.
my question is, will you do the same thing if I give you information that goes against what you say? Will you take my sources and read it too, and not just skim through it or do an audio book? Or if an audio book is your thing, then yeah, but just not do skim through it, but actually read it, because one chapter can say one thing, and then 3 chapters later it gets into detail in it, and then a couple of chapters later you get the finishing touches of it, but it doesn't tell you that way. You have to actually read the whole thing. So my thing is that's why I say we all feel like we have something important to say, more important than anybody else, and that's why I say we are all at competition, because somebody will say something that will be accurate but wouldn't be in full detail or in context that it's supposed to be in.
Yeah.
And that's when I feel like I'll come in and say what I need to say. And it's important that I say this, because if you're going to share something with an audience, you should be at least at least giving as much information as possible. And I feel like the more information we spread, the better. I mean, I feel like most people should collaborate with each other anyway when they're talking about doing this stuff. That's why you see all these other people getting sponsors. A sponsor is a collaboration. You don't have to necessarily be on the mic. You don't necessarily have to be, talking all the time. A collaboration could be, okay, I want to be part of this, but I want to be in the background. I want to do the editing, or I want to do the music, and then I want to do the promotions. That's why you have a team, and it's really hard to get a lot of people together, especially in the history world, man, because there's some people who will say that we didn't have the tools to build the pyramids. And I'm that person that says that we did have the tools, and the tools have always been around. The problem is that the idea that how the pyramids were built doesn't go with what your idea is. And I go off of what the texts say. Like Herodotus actually talks about how the pyramids were built and what tools were used. And even though a lot of people would say, and I will agree with them, that he wasn't around when the pyramids were built, he still gives a description of how it was built. So we have an idea, and we know that they had certain tools back then. The question is, how did they apply those tools to building it? And there's only but so many ways you can do that, and there's nothing wrong with believing, the different theories. But if we going off of the text, the only person I'm going to go to is him, because he's the oldest person that we know that actually describes the idea of how the pyramids were built, and that's my source. Anybody else after that, I'm going to question and say, well, where did that person get their information from? And if they say, well, they got it from Herodotus, then I'll be like, well, there's no reason for me to listen to him, because I already read his paperwork. They're now just telling me their narrative based on, in their opinion, in their theory, which is okay.
Yeah.
But I know a whole bunch of theories, from humans building the pyramids to extraterrestrials and giants, right? So adding another one won't hurt me. But my point is what does the actual oldest text say? Well, then I'm going to Herodotus and going what he says, and that's it.
No, that's fair enough. It's even as you were saying it, it's like you have to really read it and not just skim through it, or even just go to the beginning and then say, oh, I already know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
That's not how this all works. How do you go and understand what happened, during the, I would say, let's just say, even going back to just saying World War II, okay? How do you know that, the U.S. won and not, Germany? How do you know that? Well,
that's interesting you say that.
It's like you gotta be able to say, okay, well, I know we won because, or the U.S. won because, this is what was said. Well, how do you really know that if you're just skimming through it? Okay, so what happened? What really took place during the whole time? How do you know that General Patton, died right before the World War II ended? Do you know if he died, or did you read and find out how he died? Well, okay, I read into it, and he died in Paris. He died at the hospital. It was right before World War II ended. Okay, so you had to read into it and understand that what took place and how he died, and then go into it even more and seeing, okay, well, this is what took place. Hitler committed suicide. Supposedly, again, this is where I'm even trying to do more understanding. Did really Hitler commit suicide, or did he escape and go to Argentina, through certain things? So again, it's that, but it's okay, well, Nazi Germany surrendered, and the U.S. The troops and all that, the coalition, they all went through the Eagle's Nest and stuff like that, and everything was done and over with. Okay, without going through and reading and understanding the history of World War II or whatever else is out there, you're not fully understanding the whole thing until you read it all and look into it. It even goes back to the pyramid days, and King, even trying to understand King Tut and who he was, and how old he really was, and when he died, and and stuff. Which I learned a little bit of that because my 7-year-old, the other that was just down here a little bit ago, he was talking about King Tut and how they saw stuff at the museum, and they were learning stuff at the museum in Boston, and I'm like, oh, okay, I get it. So I'm getting an understanding it. Oh, he was very young. He wasn't old. I thought he was old. Well, fooled me. I didn't do my research. I thought he was older. Nope, he was young. So again, it does. You've got to read into it and be able to understand these things without going and saying, and just making a guess at it, because you could be wrong, and people don't want to own up to being wrong on those situations. So kudos for you to write a book and be able to do your research and explain the findings you find, and and looking into it. You're one of many that will do your due diligence on it.
Yeah, that's one of the things I say a lot is doing my due diligence and my research, trying to get to the bottom of it. I might not be right because the information that I might be reading could be incorrect, but I have the knowledge now when somebody proves that I'm wrong. So if somebody says that I'm wrong in something, I'm going to ask them, how can you show me how I'm wrong? And they have to provide a source, right? They have to explain it to me. You can't just say, well, you're wrong because of this. Go do your research. Like I said, my book is about my research, my journey of my research. I used to say a lot of times to people, go do your own research, but that I couldn't believe how stupid that sounded, because just like if somebody tells me to go do my research, that's a slap in the face to me, because I spend at least 6 hours a day reading, researching, and sharing what I learned.
Yeah.
So telling me to go do some research is disrespectful, because I know how much time I put into this research. I might get some snippets, this, that, and the third wrong a little bit, but I'm not getting it wrong. I'm really just saying what I know from everything. I might get the author wrong.
Yeah.
I'll give you an example. George Smith and Andrew George, they both translated cuneiform tablets, but they both say something differently, or say something that the other one doesn't say. I might mix their name up just because of their names, George Smith and Andrew George. Well, I was telling somebody that the other day, and they said just combine the Andrew George Smith. So I don't have any problems. But that's what I mean by making mistakes. I can make simple mistakes, and we all make mistakes, especially when you're doing something, recording and you're talking. You are always going to make a mistake. But my point is if you point out that I made a mistake and you're trying to do it in a trolling way, I'm just going to invite you on my show and we can have a discussion with it. I can say, yeah, I actually did say that wrong. And I actually went back and did my due diligence and found out the right information. So it's this, that, and third. Now the argument is, what can you say after that? Because I'm admitting that I said it wrong. If anybody that does a show, a podcast, or anything, it's a lot of work. I ain't gonna lie. When I first started, man, I used to read like my lines, like 2 or 3 lines, and then stop, take a break, and then do it again, and have transitions and stuff like that, because I was trying to make it sound so perfect. Then I realized the more I made it seem like I was trying to make it seem like I was perfect, is when I felt like I was trying to prove something. So instead, me just being natural in what I know, like if I have a debate with somebody, I can go and have a debate with somebody with anything. I'm really only going to talk about what I know for a fact. And there's only but so many things that people talk about anyway in the history books. Like, there's really not much things that people talk about, right?
Right?
The pyramids, you got pictographic script meanings, hieroglyphics. You got the Native Americans, Mesoamerica. You got Bosnia, China, Japan. You got the Aboriginal Australians. You got all these individuals, and you can literally read and I have read books where from respected people that say that where they have not the same. The stories are a lot different than what people will say.
Yeah.
Like when I was talking about the Anuna slash the Anunnaki, I know a lot of people watch the show Ancient Aliens and they'll be like, oh, they came from a different planet. But when you actually read the sources, the cuneiform tablets, and the looking at the pictographic scripts and stuff like that, the depictions and all that stuff, the cuneiform tablets literally says they came from the depths of the sea, right? Like they didn't come from a planet, but they're from here, but they didn't come from any known land that we know of, that they came from the depths of the sea. Now that's what it says in their in the cuneiform tablets, and their depictions even show that. That's why a lot of the first gods, when they're not depicted in the sun form, they're depicted in what? A fish type form, right?
Yeah.
They're so it makes me wonder. But then my question is okay, what would be the argument whether they came from a different planet or the depths of the sea? If you know they didn't come from a different planet, why wouldn't you want to believe that they came from the depths of the sea if it's actually in the text, right? Like if it's in the text and you believe in the Anuna slash the Anunnaki, then you have the text that actually, and there's evidence that actually says where they came from and not the possibility or theory based off somebody else, then why are you believing something that's not proven or show you to read it? Like, let me put it like this: if I can read something, you should be able to read it, right?
Yeah.
So if I say that this says this, that, and the third, I should be able to provide that source so you can read this, that, and the third, right?
Yeah.
And once you read it, it's up to you whether you want to believe it or not. But one thing you cannot argue is the fact that I gave you what my source was. That's the only you can say that it's incorrect all you want, but then my question is, can you read the cuneiform tablets? Can you translate it? Are you able to do this, that, and third? And if you say you can, then I'm gonna say, hey, I take this opportunity for you to show me what tablet says that I'm wrong, and for you to show me how to read it.
Yeah.
And then that's how you teach somebody. With the technology that we have today, there's too many people out there that says they don't have enough time to do things, but they'll get on these streams and sometimes they'll have their rants. And I'm just like, just teach. If you can translate something, show it. The most important thing that most people want to know out there is if there's aliens outside of planet Earth or something came from outside of Earth, right? Yeah. And they all saying it's in the text. If there's actually something in that text that says that, no doubt, right? Like we can go read a book about World War II every day when we want to right now. 3,000 years from now, we're going to be able to read about World War II, right? Yeah. There may be some discrepancies. The winning of who won may not be there. You, if I'm not correct, and you believe we won, some people would say we lost because guess what? When the Nazi regime fell, where did the Nazi people go to? They went to America. They became workers in NASA. They became in charge of our rockets. Some of them worked in politics. Some of them worked in NASA that had children that worked in politics. You don't have to invade a country by going through guns blazing and shooting them up. All you got to do is use what's available. Point example. All you have to do is have a child be born here on this land. They get the right to citizenship. They're always a citizen. They go back to their country, do whatever they wanted to. They can become manipulated and wanting to hate America as much as they want, but they have to come here. They're smart in their country, get their degree, come back here, get a degree in college. They work their way up in politics, and now we have them in one of the offices doing something. Yeah. You don't have to do everything guns blazing. And that's what history taught us, is that the best way to take down anybody is by going inside. That's why our spies are always within the most craziest embassies and agencies out there, right? Yeah. We know that there are Russian spies right in the CIA and FBI because it has been reported, and some of them have been to jail for it, right? So we know about this stuff. Right? Yeah. But that's my point, is that, with history, even when they write about it from 3,000 years from now, it's going to be a whole different story. But the core foundation is going to be there, and you have to go deep and look into that. You're going to have to look at all the old articles, the old tweets, the old TikToks, the old YouTube videos of people reporting things live, people that's in the field. You're going to have to see how you can, there are going to be programs where they're going to show people manipulating their backgrounds, green screen, this, that, and the third. technology is getting to the point where it's changing to show how we are being fooled,
Yeah.
right? Because there was a time when not everybody could read books in 1700s, 1800s, and early 1900s, right?
Yeah.
Hell, in 1990s, the way we got information was almost 100 times slower uh, than yeah, slower than what we have now, right? Ours is hundreds and hundreds of times the faster, right? Something
Yeah.
happens in Brazil right now, somebody posts it on one of these social medias, and the whole world is going to know about it,
Yeah.
right? In a matter of seconds. You can't even print a newspaper fast enough to get the news out there. That's how fast this information is getting out there. By the
Yeah.
time newspaper comes out there, the newspaper is reporting something that has already been debunked or has already been verified
Yeah.
20 times over.
Yeah, because I mean, it takes. I mean, on average, it's newspaper. The newspaper gets ran once every 24 hours.
Yep.
So by time it gets out there on the news, on a newspaper, it's already been done and verified or debunked before it
Many
gets
of
printed.
times.
You know.
Yeah.
Now, when it comes to the news outlets reporting on it, that could be just as fast as the internet getting it posted on Instagram or Facebook or whatever. But it gets verified, and it's not as fast as someone just posting it, and it happens instantly. Because again, they want to find out and make sure it's a valid source. That it's a valid incident that's happening, or it has make sure it's correct. So it takes probably I would say probably an hour or so before it gets put out there. But I mean, it's so true. The way the world gets put out there with anything, it's so quick to be put out there. Compared to what it used to be, and even compared to the 1700s or the 1800s, 1900s, the early 1900s, compared to the 2000s. It's definitely different. But again, as you said, it's so true. It's everybody's trying to spy on everybody, and it's been proven, it's been shown. I can't even. I remember it was a couple of years ago. It was a husband and wife. The hell, who? I can't remember what they were doing, but they were reported as being spies.
Yeah.
Within the U.S. I mean, and even going back to the Cold War days. I mean, it was spies, here in the U.S. from Russia, and same, with the U.S. having it in Russia and everywhere else. That's why they have the Central Intelligence Agency, the CIA. And then we have here in the home states, we have the FBI who will investigate all that crap.
Yep.
It's just how it is and the way it goes. But we are getting close to the end of the show tonight, and I want to say definitely thank you for coming on, and I want everybody to still remember, check out his website and everything.
Oh yeah.
And YouTube channel. Again, it's Rebirth of the Word. And as I messed up, and as he even says always looking for perfection, it's Rebirth of the Word. I read it and said, I read it the right way, but I said it the wrong way. I said the world. So make sure you definitely make sure you see the green screen with the eyeball on it, and it's Rebirth of the Word.com. And check him out on YouTube. And then follow and like and subscribe, because as I always say, we want those subbies.
Oh yeah, definitely.
It's we want everybody to be able to get out there and express your idea on it. And again, another thing as we do here is we bridge the gaps between all these organizations and other veterans that are out there that are doing stuff like this, and we want you guys to support your local veterans, or even your nationwide veterans, because we're all trying to figure out what we want to do. And as I'm still trying to figure it out, and probably as Tyrone still as well. It's something that we're doing and enjoying. But check them out, follow them, subscribe, and please, definitely anything you can do to help support them. Definitely reach out and pick up a book, and hopefully we will see you somewhere around here at some point. I'll be down in Charlotte, in Alabama this year at the summer here in the next few months. Hopefully your book will be out, and I can pick up a copy from you and get it signed at one of the shows.
I'm not far from Charlotte, actually.
Oh, wow. So then gonna have to be giving you a shout once I get out there. I believe I forgot when it is, but it will be there, and I'll just reach out and touch base with you.
All right, right on.
So until next time, everybody, salute ya, and thanks again for all the viewers and followers, and we'll catch you on the next one, you guys. All right.
Thank you for supporting Homeland Heroes Salute Podcast. Please make sure to like and follow Homeland Heroes on all of their social media outlets. Homeland Heroes Salute Podcast is a Foo Bar Studios, Sinista1